In this first stage, everything really will be a cone or a cylinder. I'm always sculpting with these images on the background and a moving stand. And that way I can step back, compare, take direct measurements. So at first for me this was very intuitive, and then at some point when I wanted to be a little bit more consistent, the idea of how to create a more tight template came into play. And then I came across Rhino, which is a software program that essentially unravels objects into their two-dimensional form. And that kind of like planted the seed of being more specific with the patterns, to the point where I could sculpt something and then open it up and put enough detail and information into that pattern where you could preserve a lot of that information and reproduce it. So I'm gonna start turning all these flat cutouts in 3D equivalent, and that'll be my starting point. So when I'm working in this way, I try to assemble all the parts as soon as possible, understanding that I'll keep them moist enough to be able to make adjustments, but I just want to keep the overall dryness of the different segments consistent. There is some shrinkage that I have to account with as I'm building up. So if I'm building something that's 6 foot tall, by the time I'm working on the head, I need to understand that I need to go more to my diagrams than really trust what I'm seeing, because there's already some measure of shrinkage that has affected the proportions from probably midway down. And so for a long time, I ended up with many sculptures that had kind of like a microcephalic head. I need to stay with the diagram. I can't just start referencing the internal dynamic of the sculpture at that stage. If I'm working on a larger piece, at first there's a lot to do, and I have more of an open window, but once things start to dry, I need to be really on top of it. So I will rarely start more than 1 or 2 things. If I'm working at a smaller scale or trying to make a production of smaller pieces, then I'll have maybe as many as 4 at a time. And oftentimes I'll start more than I can finish. I think there's a point, especially leading up to an exhibition, where you're in this middle point where you feel you got it. You can do anything. And you just keep on, starting things, and then reality sets in and you're like, yeah, I don't have it anymore. If you're a full-time artist, you know that letting go of things or losing pieces is not what you want.